on in, everybody. Come in, come in, come in. It's Friday. The Friday gremlins are alive and well today. Indeed. Hey, Dorothy. Hi, Connie. Good to see you. How are you? I hope you're great. I hope you're doing really well, actually. I do. It is Friday, Drama-Free Friday. I hope. Good to see you, good to see you. Hello, Christine. Hi, Peggy. Hi, Ellen. Good to see you guys, all of you. Indeed. Trying to think what I'm going to do here. I think I'm going to do this. Anyway, hi, Rhonda. Good to see you guys. So on Monday night, we created this crazy, wild, very wild piece of paper. This very wild piece of paper, which was on a piece of paper sack, like grocery sack from Trader Joe's. So I think what we're going to do, because I thought it's a little too wild. It's okay. It's a little wild for me. So I thought what we would do is paint some of it out, because that's what I enjoy doing. Hi, Christy. Hey, Jessica. Werner's Grin, Jessica. So I have some circle shapes here. I may just use these two. They're a little different in size, but they're close. We'll see if I can differentiate what is what here. Let's try one of these and see what it'll do. I can't see it with this white marker because of the white lines I got going on. We will do something different. Yeah, that's going to be hard to see. Okay, I got to get a different color marker, because white is going to be too hard for me to see. So, you know what? Let's try black. Let's try black. And this is a Sharpie, and a Sharpie going, yeah, I think I can see that okay. Sharpie going over acrylic paint will kill this Sharpie. That's just what they do. Acrylic paint kills a Sharpie. In fact, that one's probably dead enough already that I'm not even going to be able to use it. We're going to get a system here in a second. All right, let's go. Let's try this. It's an acrylic Posca that's metallic. All right, let's try this. I just have to have something that will let me see the circles. I think I can see that one. Okay. And the acrylic paint should not kill. The acrylic paint on the paper should not kill the acrylic paint pen. I was going to use my circle stencil that I have with all different sizes of circles, but you know what? I can't find it. I hid it from myself. Surely did. So we're just going to go around here and just make some, I don't know whether you can see them or not, but let's try this one. I don't even know what this was, a lid to something. And we're just going to put some different size circles around here. And then we're going to paint. Because after looking at it, letting it get good and dry, and looking at it, I'm like, yeah, it's okay. I kind of like it, but it is so busy that I thought we would tone it down just a smidge. Okay, let's go here. I'm not going to let any of the circles overlap, because that's not the point of this. I hope you guys are having a good day today. It is beautiful weather outside today, unlike what it was earlier this week where it was so cold. It was crazy. All the beautiful trees got bitten by the freeze. All the daffodils got bitten by the freeze. Crazy weather, just crazy weather. All right, let's see. All right, let's put one more here, and then we're going to start painting. Okay. Clean off my acrylic Posca paint pen. Put all my circle things away. What if I did a whitewash? Yeah, that would work too, but I just want to, I want to actually change the paper a little bit. So we're just going to use this messy palette that I have here. Well, actually, let's use a different one. Let's use a lid. And I'm going to use white craft paint. So I'm just going to shake up. This is craft paint. It's just called white. We're going to use white. Except the lid, the hole in the lid is got probably a big paint booger in it. Okay. Grab a brush and some paper towels. I'm going to wet the paintbrush to start with, because it makes it easier to get the paint out of it later. And then we're going to pick up white paint. We're going to find one of the circles. And isolate the circle. I was going to do this without you watching, and then I thought, you know, if nobody has done this before, then maybe you'd want to see what it does. Now, here's the thing. I'm not going to look at this and go, oh, we need perfect circles. Nope, we do not. We need sort of perfect circles, but not super perfect circles. Okay, there's one here. And what I'm going to do is kind of dilute some of this paint so it gives kind of that whitewashed appearance. in some spots. I don't care that it is the same. This is a grocery sack, okay? This is not what you would necessarily say is going to be a work of art. But it is fun. And one of the cool things about this is that when you have the, when we used these bottles of paint that are the Slick Riders, they're dimensional paint, the cool part about those is that when you go over it with another thin paint, they will show up. The texture shows up. And I love that about using those on making a big sheet of paper. Okay. So, got the idea? So that's what we're going to do. It was such a wonderful relief this week when warm weather showed up again. But I tell you, in the town where I live, we have so much road construction going on right now. It is crazy. And having to look for where my next circle is. Okay. There's so much road construction that I have to allow extra time when I leave my house to go anywhere. And often I don't leave enough time because when I go, I'm trying to, the highway, they keep shutting lanes down and rerouting traffic because they're expanding the highway. It is just crazy. It is absolutely crazy. Anyway, so life is a moving target at the moment when it comes to getting around and doing things and going places. So sometimes I just stay home. This week we have one of Elton's daughter's dog who grew up here from a puppy. His name is Curtis. And he's staying here this week for a week. And he's very happy to be back in his old stomping grounds. But I will tell you, the cats here, they're not as excited about him being here as he is about being here. Indeed. So I'm just picking up a little bit of water on the brush as I go, and that is to thin the paint out a little bit so that I don't totally obscure everything underneath this. I did this one time with butterflies, butterfly stencil, but that is that's okay for a journal page. But if you're doing a big piece of paper like this, you don't really want to do the whole thing. Not on a stream. If you're just going to do it just to be doing it, just to have fun, that's one thing. But I will tell you, it is beautiful. So what we did is we took a butterfly die cut. It was a big one. It was one from Tim Holtz. Cut out those dies. And I don't remember if we drew around them. Probably did. And painted out the background. And the background, it was crazier than this one even. But boy, was it cool to have the butterflies revealed in the back from the background. You can do this with any shape. You can do it with leaves. I would recommend if you do it with a shape that you do it with something that's not super complex. And if you like all the crazy going on in the background, you certainly can keep it. I think we'll do this and then we will add back in a little bit, just a little bit of crazy back on top. But I absolutely love all the texture that you get from those Slick Rider fabric paints. So I hope you guys have been having a good week. We're having company here this weekend, and so I had to kind of get my act together a little bit, not a lot. Let's be honest. I don't do a lot when it comes to, I try to keep things pretty much together most of the time around here so that if somebody wants to come and stay, I don't have to feel embarrassed or like I gotta rush around. I've lived those days where I had to rush around and in a panic, in a dead panic to try to get ready for somebody to stay at my house. Yeah, I don't do that anymore. I found out it's a whole lot easier if you just kind of keep things relatively put together. So if somebody shows up, it's like, well, at least I'm not embarrassed. You know? My poor little, I am rambling because I can't watch the chat and do this. My poor little great-grandson this week burned his hand. Poor little baby. He burned his hand on an outdoor stove. I don't think it's a real bad burn, but it sure made everybody's life very difficult. I haven't checked on him today, but my granddaughter called and I said, do you have an aloe plant? If you do, I mean, I hesitate to tell people what to do. I just said, that's what I'd do. How about that? I'll just tell you, that's what I'd do. She said, well, that's why I called you, because I thought you might have a solution. I'm like, well, I'm not going to tell you what to do. I'm just going to tell you that's what I would do. That poor little guy, he's not quite 2. He's a few months, not too many months, but he's a few months from being 2, so, you know, he's not the drama, he's not quite as dramatic, I'll say, as his big sister is, but that's enough to let anybody be dramatic. Okay, I promise I'll look at the chat here in a minute. But let me just get this done here, and then I will look at the chat. Okay, I'm just trying to think of things to chat about while I'm doing this, because I really do have to pay attention to what I'm doing. I just launched into this today with my list of complaints about the roads. Let's see, what else can we complain about? Let's try not to complain. I will tell you, there's enough stuff going on with people and the world that we don't need to complain. We just need to be grateful, you know? Just need to be grateful. Grateful grateful for what there is and what we have. And we woke up today. Some people didn't. We had a guy that I've known for a very long time, and he's been battling cancer, and he did not wake up today. And his wife has been caring for him for quite some, I don't know to what degree, but she's been caring for him for quite a while, and her mother at the same time. I believe her mother, I think her mother passed away. I'm not entirely sure about that, but I think her mother passed away. And then not too long after that, her husband. So, you know, if we think life is difficult, there's always someone who is in a deeper struggle than we are, for sure. Okay, let's come over here and let's see if we can, shouldn't be too far from finishing this, blocking some of this out, and then we'll add a little bit more back on top of the white just because. Every time you add a layer of paint onto this pretty inexpensive brown paper, it does help to strengthen it. It gives it a little more body, which allows it to be a little stronger for whatever purpose you decide to use it for. In my case, I'm thinking I'm going to make envelopes and sort of stationery sorts of things out of it. And some of the products, I just splattered my mat. Some of the products that I've used on this are a little bit water soluble, and so those water soluble products will liquefy a little bit as you put white paint on them over the top of it. And that changes a little bit. It changes the, alters the white sometimes. And that's kind of fun to see that happen. Okay. So I'd be curious, those of you in the chat, I'd be curious what your weather is like where you are this time of year. If you are so disposed or inclined to add it into the chat, I would love to know what your weather is like, because I know if you are in the southern hemisphere, it's different than it is here in the northern hemisphere. I know we have some viewers that tune in from Australia, New Zealand, and so forth. Okay, we're almost done. Coming in the home stretch with this blocking out of busy background. Okay, I think we got it all. All right. Put the white paint aside. I'm going to run over this with a heat tool. Dry it a little bit. You know, the big thing I need to do, you guys, I need to spend some serious time in this room and clean this place up. Dorothy says the weather here in, is it Leicester? Is that how you pronounce it? Leicester is very nice. Just now, some rain, mostly sunny and cool. Cool. Ellen says 65. Isn't that a great temperature? Who else? Rhonda says beautiful here today, 61. Yeah, it's just, it has been absolutely gorgeous. Yesterday it was beautiful. Now, Tuesday, I was freezing to death. Literally freezing to death. It was so cold. Oh, mercy, it was cold. Okay. 85. Connie says it's 85. Holy moly. Wow. 85. It may be that here before long. I don't know. Okay. I think we're about dry. So this is what this thing started out at, except it had some images that were printed on it from the grocery store where this came from. This is a Trader Joe's bag. Okay, now, just because it's fun, I need to get I don't know how all of my black paint pens disappear on me. Well, since the black ones have disappeared, we'll use other colors. We'll use some other colors, shall we? 84 and where Peggy is. Hey, Purple Nana. It was awful in Shropshire until a few days ago. Then yesterday, like summer. It's so funny. It's so funny how it does that. Craziness. Okay, so let us zoom out. And I'm sorry that you're going to get a shot of me in this, but you know, that's the way that's going to be. All right, I have some Posca paint pens. I was going to use black, but I can't find it. I got to spend some time in this room. Seriously, got to spend some time in this room organizing and putting things away. The other day, okay, just so you know, I actually sat down and made a list of all the things I need to do here in this house to be comfortable and organized. And one of the things I had to do was to go through all these magazines that I'd saved. There were, you know, all kinds of magazines. For various reasons I'd saved them. It's like, I'm going through all these magazines. I'm not keeping these anymore. I'm going to pull out the articles that are meaningful to me now. And I'm going to save those. And I'm going to throw out the magazines. And I mean, I had so many stacks of magazines. And I have managed, drum roll please, I have managed to get through the very last one of the magazines, pulling out all the articles that I want, stapling them together, and I'm now in the process of filing them so I can get back to them and actually find them useful. Yeah. Anyway, okay. So here's what we're going to do. I'm now going to think outside the circle. These are not mandalas. These are just circles. Okay, So we're going to play with some circles. Now that we have isolated these, and we're going to make them more interesting, but not so insanely busy. Let's go to this one. Now, because it is brown paper, which is not smooth because it was in its former life a grocery bag, and then I have added collage, and I have also added these fabric paint pens that are dimensional. Every once in a while I'm going to run into texture, which is going to send my pen that I'm using right now, it's going to send my pen off on its own adventure. You got to be okay with that. All right? All right, so let's put that one aside, and I have this one that I picked up. Elton Faye says, amen, about 200 pounds of magazine trash weight. He did. Yeah, because here's what I did. When I get done with the magazine, I would just chuck it in the trash. And the other day, he because his job is to collect the trash. And so he took the kitchen trash bag, upended or attempted to upend one of the trash receptacles that I had been dumping magazines in. And he says, good grief. Yeah, very much just like that. He said, what is in here? And I'm like, oh, I don't know. What are you talking about? And he said, what did you put in here? Yeah. I said, it must be all those newspapers you put in there, honey. Right? Okay, and then we're going to do these last two, and that will have changed this. A little bit in a way that I'm happier with. That doesn't mean we're done, but it means that I'll be happier with it. £200. That probably is not an exaggeration. Hey Dana, good to see you. Oh, that is funny. Okay, let's see if we have anything else that will see. Now the danger zone of this is to come back and recreate all the super busyness to make it even more busy. I don't want to do that. Okay. So we're going to try not to do that, okay? These paint pens that I have, this one that I'm using right now, is just going to do splots because I have let the paint pen sit long enough that they are kind of worthless. So we're just going to get some splats and splots. So let me zoom in so you can see a little bit better. Okay. So we're just going to keep splatting and splotting around. Here and there. That is funny. He told me he was going to listen a little bit today. Apparently that was just more than he could take to listen to me say that. He just had to put in his 2 cents worth. Bless his little heart. That's why he's around. He's the trash man. Okay, so we have that one. I don't know if this one will do anything or not. Okay, let's put some, see if this will work. Okay, so we'll get some splats in that one, and how about some in here? And a couple more over here. So just because I whited out or whitewashed or whatever you want to call it, a lot of the background out, doesn't mean that you're done. You can still play with it. You can still play with it. You can still have fun with it. And because of my love of words, we are going to put some writing on this. We're going to add some words. But I really need a black paint pen to do that. So I'm going to have to see if I can come up with one. Tell you what, because all I will do is just kill another Sharpie, and I don't want to do that. No. Okay, black Sharpie or black paint pen. Where are you? Come forth. Give me a second. Okay, I found some. Yay. Okay. I found 3 black ones. Let's use this one. Let's do some good words. Joy. Happy. How about delight? What's another one? You guys give me another word. Who has another word? Love. How about play? How about enjoy? Anybody have another good positive word? Peace, that's a good one. And it's okay if we repeat some things. Playful. Hope is a good one. How about 2 or 3 more? Anybody? Grace is a good one. Hi, Angela. What did you just tell me? Hope. Like you told me, and then I blew it right out of my head. Okay, how about, let's put it right over here. Believe is a good one. That's a great word. Okay, we'll call that good with that. Okay. Now, let's use a smaller pen, smaller paint pen, also in black, and I'm going to embellish some of these words. Let's take this one and make this a little bit. Just to embellish things a little bit more, just because it will make them a little more interesting, maybe. So we'll just kind of play with the letters and see what we can do. Now, when you're doing this kind of stuff, you do kind of have to be aware of where your hand is. And this is just an exercise in playing and having fun. Because we can have fun. That should be a word that should be on here. We should have the word fun on here somewhere. Because remember, what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to cut it up and make other stuff out of it. And so as you look at it, not every little, you have to be careful that you don't judge what's happening in every little aspect of this, because it's going to get cut up and folded and, you know, whatever's going to happen to it. We don't know what's going to happen to it. We've changed it from what it originally started out. This is called altering. Altering the plan. Because we can. Sometimes what I want you guys to see is that if you don't like something, you're not stuck with it, okay? You're not stuck with it. You can indeed enjoy. Continue the process. Don't worry about perfection. It's irrelevant. Done is better than perfect. Okay, and then we got a couple, 2 or 3 more here. You don't have to do all of them. If you are worried about, when you're doing something like this, if you're worried about what it looks like, because it's like, oh, I don't know, it's just looking too horrible or too whatever, do something else to it. That's the biggest thing you can do, is just do more of it. All right, we have a belief. Just adding some dots. Dots are good, people. If you don't add dots in what you're doing, one of my friends a long time ago, she was an art teacher here in town, and she said somebody had taught her, when in doubt, dot. Right, Dorothy? Dorothy's nickname is Dot. So I'm just going around and doing some circles around the green splats that I did. Okay, so we did some green splats, and then we did a few outlines. And I like that. So guess what? I'm going to do it again. You should have a mantra running around in your head that you hear from various people. And done is better than perfect is one of them. Because if you strive for perfection, and I have been there and I have done that, and perfection is highly overrated. And if you just keep going and not judging what you do, you will get so much more done. And here's the thing, if I get finished with this and I cannot stand it, you know, there's file 13 all day long, and I can put it in file 13, which is the trash, and I can start over again. But I'm here to tell you that it's highly unlikely that I will trash this, because when you cut it up and you make it into something else, it's amazing how good it can look when you just keep going, and then you cut it and you fold it. You can die cut it, make something else out of it, cut it into smaller pieces, cut it into strips. You can cut it into strips and weave it back together. Sometimes I don't even get the outline even close to those splats that I put in there. And so inside my head is the mantra, done is better than perfect. Perfect is highly overrated. Keep going. Don't stop. When in doubt, add some more. Or do what we did today. We started out with, well, let's just cover some stuff up. Let's cover it up and then add some more on top of it and see what it looks like then. Okay, so we've got some little splots that we did in here. My paint pen has decided it's not going to work for a second. For some reason. Okay, we're going to go to a different one. Some of these pens have been around a while. Okay, that one's not going to work either. So we're going to have to, this one's not going to work because that's going to be too much of a mess. All right, we'll kill another Sharpie. It's all right. We don't care. Yeah, it's not going to work. Oh my goodness, what is up with this? What is up with my pens? Hold on a minute. All right, maybe it's going to work now. It must have needed a rest. Must have needed a little breather for a second for some reason. Because this was my original one that just all of a sudden decided it wasn't going to work. Then I let it sit for a minute. Came back to working. Okay. I think it's come back to life. Okay. This is a white pen. One of the things I love is white dots on black letters. And you see, I'm not even doing it. The Barb, speak. I'm not even doing it the right way around because I'm just looking at these letters as shapes, not so much as letters. Okay. See? See, it didn't make any difference that those lines were really crappy. Because they become part of the art, part of the play. This pen, in case you want to know, what I'm using is a Panda Fly. It is a 1.0 Panda Fly. They are inexpensive from Amazon. The jury is out for me as to whether I think that they're going to last long term. I have no idea because I just started playing with them, but they are inexpensive. And we'll see if they last. I have no clue. So far, so good. Have any of you tried these before? And I'm not being particularly careful about how far apart the dots are. Are they consistent? Are they exactly the same distance and the same diameter? I really don't care. It's just part of playing. And I'm not going to dot the dots that are beside the letters, those black dots that I added beside the letters. I'm going to let those just kind of live on their own. Okay. And while we're here, let's just see what happens if we put a white dot in the middle of those. Kind of a little extra sparkle. I kind of like that, so I might do more of that. I don't know. Do you see what I mean? Just don't stop. I've told this story before, but back when I was doing so many mandalas, my tester was Clausman. And so I would write directions for a mandala, and then I would have him, or I would do a video or whatever, and I would have him see if he could follow along. Now this is before he really spiraled totally into dementia. There were a lot of things he couldn't do, but there were things he could do also. And one of them was he really enjoyed the process of creating the mandalas, and he could do a good job with it, but he would get very frustrated sometimes because his didn't look like mine. Well, creating mandalas is kind of like finding your own handwriting style, and he would get really frustrated because it just didn't look good enough to him. And so I'd say, well, the problem, I think, is that you quit too soon. You need to keep going and keep embellishing even more. And he said, well, I don't know what to do. So before I ever touch anybody's artwork, I would always say, is it okay if I add something to what you're doing? And he would 99% of the time he would say, yes, please. And so I would just start adding to what he had already done, and he'd go, oh, it looks so much better. Well, it's just because you quit too soon, that's all. So don't stop. If you get frustrated with what you're doing, add some more. Just add some more to it. And if your dots don't come out totally round when you're touching them, either with one of these pens or the paint pens or whatever, if your dots aren't totally round, then I yet again would say, don't worry about it. Now, I personally like this a lot better when I blocked out a lot of the busyness in the background and then started again on the background. I like it better that way. You might not like it better that way. You might have gone, oh, now Barb, you should have left it the other way. Well, that's okay. It's okay to think that when somebody, because when I watch people creating videos and doing artwork, there's a running dialogue in my head the whole time. I don't ever let it come out of my fingertips in the comments, however. But there's always a running dialogue that's like, it goes like this. Oh, I don't think I would have done that. Yeah, I definitely wouldn't have done that. Well, actually, that looks pretty good. Well, that's really interesting. I never would have thought of that. That is the running dialogue in my head that is going on. And that's what I encourage you to do as well. Just enjoy the process. Just play. There's a book that I have. It's called Deep Play. And the book talks about the importance of playing and what we learn from playing, and the health benefits and emotional benefits, psychological benefits, etc. of playing. Too many people don't play. Too many people take this life so seriously. Okay, so you can kind of see the overall kind of what's happening. We added some words. We added dots. We added scallops. We added more dots. If you have stamps, you can get stamps out. And if you don't want to write words, you can just stamp them. Again, I'm working upside down. And right side up and sideways. I like the polka dotted letters. You could polka dot them with something other than white. I just happen to like the white polka dots over the black letters. But you could use some other paint pen color, like a metallic paint pen, and you could polka dot over the metallic. You could polka dot with black. And over here we've got some more letters. The only thing you have to watch when you're polka dotting is don't let the paper bounce. Because if the paper bounces, it will reach up and it will make its own polka dots. And you might not be happy with that because you didn't intend to put a polka dot where the paper decided to put a polka dot. And I have no idea if these Panda Fly pens are waterproof. No idea at all. I don't know if any of you in the chat know. I haven't done any testing with that at all. And let's see, we've got, we're getting close to having this all put together. And then we'll see if it's dry enough. If it is, we'll cut it up and we'll do something with it. Or we can make another piece of paper. We'll see. Sometimes my pen does not go at all where I think it's going to go. Do you notice that with your hand? That sometimes your hand and your head are at war with each other? Yeah, your hand says go here and your head, or your head says go here and your hand goes, nope, not doing that. Yesterday when I came home, I'd been gone for a while, I came home. There was a beautiful arrangement of flowers on my table. That was nice. What a surprise. I think one of the things you learn when you lose a spouse, and Elton and I have each had that experience, I think one of the things you learn is not to take the small things for granted. Oh, I have white paint on my hand. I don't know where I smeared that from, but we'll probably find out, won't we? Maybe that was from the white paint when I was painting out the background. Let's hope. Anyway, the small things. Don't take small things for granted. It's the little things in life that are like the polka dots here. It's the small things that we do for other people. The small, unexpected gestures that we do for people. Leaving somebody a card, or sending a card, writing a letter, not a text, not an email, writing a letter. Some of the most valuable things I have are letters and notes that people have written to me. Handwriting is very powerful. It evokes powerful emotions. Regardless of what the words say, the emotions that come from handwriting are very powerful. One of the things that Starbucks is doing, they've been doing it for a while, is they've been taking the time, and it's probably just a corporate thing, but who cares? They've been taking the time to write a greeting or a word or a sentiment of some kind on the cups. Now that takes time to do that, you know? But when they do that, I always look for it. And I just think it's so nice. And that's every Starbucks I've ever been to, which has been a few, they all do it. Now, I don't know if they're doing it in other countries, but at least here they are. And that can, I mean, sometimes it's have a great day, smile, have fun, thank you, you know, it can just be anything, but they take the time to do that. And I just think that is such, somebody somewhere realized how important that was, you know, handwriting. For a while they had boards posted inside Starbucks. This was back around the time of the pandemic when you could start going in, and you couldn't stay, but you could go in and pick up a drink, and they had post-it notes and a board, and you could write notes to other people, you know, just to say, appreciate you, thanks for working hard, seize the day, have a good day, smile, you know. Elton is a star. I think I'm gonna keep him. I think I'm going to. Okay, so there you go. Those are some of the things that I've done on here. I'm thinking that you know, I'm not quite done yet, people. I'm not quite done. Let's see if I can find something else that has some color. I'm almost done, but I'm not quite. I'm looking for some Jelly Roll pins to see if these are going to work for me today. Okay, so I have all this done, but you know what I want to do? I want to just add some doodly flowers. I'll zoom in so you can see. I know they're not teaching cursive anymore. Isn't that sad? Yeah. It is kind of sad. So you know what? Those of us that know cursive, we need to do that. We need to teach our kids and our grandkids to do it. Okay, and I know that one works. This one might work too. Part of what makes things like this interesting is that the line weight is different. So we have some big thick lines, and then we have some thin. You see these lines over here, not very thick. You know, it's kind of important that you have some little doodly flowers on things also, you know. You just need a little sparkly and doodly in your life. Okay. All right, we know that one works. Let's see if this one works. You might be able to see this and you might not, but that's okay. You don't have to have everything exactly the same. Ooh, that one doesn't like to work there. Maybe here. No, it's not. It's decided it's not going to work now. That's all right. We know this one works, so we'll come back to this one. Okay. How about, let's try another one. Let's see if this one works. Oh, that's a good one. When you let your pens sit for too long without being used, they do get rebellious. They pay you back because you didn't use them. Okay. And let's do, this one is really pale, so we're just going to go over that one again because that little pale pink decided it wasn't going to work so well. Let's see if we can find some more that might work. I'm just digging in my container of gel pens. And if they just look like scribbles, it's okay if they do. And if you go over them more than once, 2 or 3 times, they'll show up a little bit more. Maybe. That one didn't show up so much. What other color do we have? How about this one? Okay, a little green flower. We'll add this, a little green to this blue one. Maybe it'll show up a little bit more, maybe not. This green is fluorescent. Fluorescent colors are known for not being very strong. Okay, and I think I'm going to come back to this kind of teal color. Add some little ones. And maybe one down here. Maybe around this dot on the word enjoy. The dot on the J. Okay. All right. And then I'm going to come back and put a little center in each of these flowers just to kind of make them show up a little bit more. You see what I mean? You just keep going. More is more. More is better. Now, if you get to a point where you go, a little too far, then you go circle back to where we started today. And you go, yeah, a little too much, you can paint it out. Or as Rhonda suggested, whitewash it. This just gives us a little center in the flower, because we can. And at some point, which maybe I'll try to make it like now. Let's see if I can make it now. Let's see if we can stop ourselves and see if we can make ourselves cut something out. This is just a little. Some of these were just not showing up as much as I wanted them to, so we're just gonna give them a little bit more emphasis, maybe. Yeah, once the ink dried on some of those, they just faded into the background. So guess what? We'll just give them a little more doodly do. But the undercolor is still there, so it's okay. How about this one? Okay, I think it looks okay. Most of them are showing up now. The white pins are the panda fly. This is panda fly. All of these are the moonlight jelly roll pins. Panda fly is only white. I don't know if it comes in colors too or not. Somebody in the chat may know that. Be careful not to put too much on again, Dorothy says. Yeah. Yeah. I know, Dorothy, I know. Okay. Let's try to move all this. Oh my goodness, my space is such a wreck here, you guys. Such a wreck. Oh well. Not that anybody here cares about the wreck of this place. I'm going to hit this with a little bit of a heat gun. Put the water off the table so we don't spill it on the electronic component of the system here, which is most of what's on the table. All right, let's. I have got to spend some time doing this. Okay, so we're just going to give it a little bit of little heat. We'll call it good. And then I think what we're going to do is we're going to cut this up, because this is what I would like for you guys to do. I would like for you, now this is another grocery bag, I would like for you to do this kind of thing, and I would like for you to take this, and I would like for you to write a letter to somebody and send it to them. So if we take this one strip of this grocery sack, we're going to use this as our pattern, okay? Actually, you know what? We're going to do it this way so we don't get hung up looking at the colorful side of this. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to take this and we're going to act like we don't know what's on the other side. And I'm going to just use a pencil. I'm not even going to do this as I'm not going to do this as perfection. We're going to keep going with the fact that this is not about perfection. And I'm going to trace this. I'm going to do it exactly as I did it before. And then in here, well, we'll figure that out in a little bit. And we'll figure that out in a little bit. We're going to just cut it up. That's the first thing we're going to do. We're just going to cut this up. Now this is a little ratty down here at the edge, so I'm going to come up above there, and I'm going to come up and I'm going to trace this flap, and I'll give you dimensions here in a second. Okay, so we got two, and we're going to make a third one, which is pretty close to okay out here. Okay. So this whole strip from the end to the end is, are you ready? I'm going to give it to you in inches. It is 16 3/8 inches. That's just what this one happened to turn out to be. 16 3/8 inches. The width of it is just over 6 1/4, like just a tiny bit over 6 1/4 inches. All right, let's cut it. I'm not even going to use my rotary cutter. I'm going to cut it with scissors, you guys. Okay, so this is not perfection. Now that doesn't mean I'm not going to be kind of careful, but I'm not going to worry about how meticulous things are. And then we're all going to be surprised when we turn it over and we see what is showing up. And this doesn't look too bad, so we're going to leave that alone and not square off the end of that. Now brown paper bags do, they're kind of strong, but they also can kind of rip on you, so you have to be a little bit careful. Don't manhandle it. in other words. Be a little gentle. Also, anytime you put a bunch of water on something, on paper, you can compromise it. And it takes it a little bit to regain its integrity. So be a little careful with it until it decides it's going to firm back up again. Now, if you want it to really be straight and everything, you know, approaching more of a perfection thing, then you could use a rotary cutter and a ruler and that kind of thing, but we're not going to do that. And then we're going to cut across this end. And then we're going to see about folding these up, because truthfully I don't even remember how I did it. So let's take this one, and this is our first one. And so the first section where it folds the first time is 4 inches. Okay, so let's make a mark at 4 inches, because I think that might be easiest for us to do. Just a light pencil mark, and I'm going to fold on that pencil mark, and then I'll reverse the fold here in a second. Okay, so there is our first fold. Then I'm going to just reverse it. So I folded on the pencil mark, and now I'm going to reverse the fold. Okay, and then from there we should be able to just fold it up. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to fold it back because it's going to be easier for me to see it. So I'm going to fold it back the way I can see it, and then I'll reverse the fold like so. Okay, like so-ish. You can always change it a little bit. And then I'm going to take the top flap, and let's see if we can fold it down. See, how far did it go? Yeah, it goes all the way down. Or a little bit more. This is where you can fiddle around with it. Okay. And if you want to actually make those folds really reinforced, if you use a bone folder, this is a Teflon folder. Okay, and so there is our letter envelope combo, right? And there is the outside of it. There is the other side of it. If you open it all the way up, that's what this one looks like all the way up. See, when you cut it down, you see how it doesn't matter? You see? Okay. All right, then what I did here on this, I took a circle punch and I cut a circle out, and I actually put 2 of them together so that it is sturdier. So I glued 2 of those. You can see the right side there. 2 of those are glued together. And then if you figure out where you want your flap, now this takes a little bit to figure this out. So I figured out where my flap was going to go, and this is just kind of trial and error, which I'm not going to do here with you. I'm just going to show you kind of the idea. Okay. See, I only glued the top half of the circle because I wanted that circle to be act as the closure. So by putting the circle up on the flap, but only gluing the top half of it to the flap like this, glue the top half of it like that, then it allows this flap to be open and the circle to be the bottom half of that circle to be free. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to figure out, like on this one, I would figure out, okay, about where do I want my slit to be on here. I'll give you an idea. It is just a little over a ½ inch from this fold, but you got to slit it on the correct section, because if you slit it on the wrong section, it doesn't do you any good. So this is about a ½ inch up from the second full rectangle on this letter envelope thing that we're making, and it's about 2 inches long. So that's where I put it on this one. Now it depends on how your slit, how wide is your flap up here, how wide is this, and how far do you want it to insert into your envelope. You're just going to have to kind of play around with that. And you don't have to do this thing with the circle to keep this closed. I just thought it was a kind of a cool way to do it. So, and it takes you a minute to get it stuck back in there. But, you know, all good things come to those who are patient. And sometimes I'm more patient than others. Because sometimes it just doesn't. There we go. Once you get it started, it just slips right in there, and then that little circle, double circle of paper holds it closed. Now if you were going to send this in the mail, you're going to have to close this with some glue or a little bit of double stick tape or something. You're going to have to actually close that. If I were going to send this through the mail, I probably would not go to the trouble of adding that little slit. I would just put some tape under here or some glue, and I would just stick it down and then just use this little circle as embellishment. But if you're going to put it in a journal, for example, and you want to write, let's say you're writing a letter to a grandchild and you're going to put it in a journal, then it's a way to kind of keep it semi-private and but yet have it accessible so that the letter can be opened and read if you're going to include it in a journal or whatever. I don't know why this is being so contrary at this moment, but it just is. There we go. If you're going to send this through the mail, you're going to have to put a white label on the outside, because if you don't, the post office is not going to be happy with you at all. Also, you're probably going to have to do something to secure these together, you know, maybe a little sticker on each side of this. So if you're going to send it through the mail, the other option is put this whole thing in an envelope, like an envelope like this, and so you can have it like this but send it in a regular mailer. So anyway, okay, all right, so there's that one. So let's say that's what that one's going to be. Let's do this one. So I said it was 4 inches, right? Oh, I need to cut this off, even this off a little bit on this one. Years ago, there was a company, and I don't know if it's still around. It was the Current Card Company, and you would order Current cards. And I love stationery anyway. I love going to office supply stores. I love stationery. I always have loved that, and I love the Current Card Company. And so I loved ordering stationery things from them, and one of the things they had was, I don't know what they called these, but they had something similar to this that you could that was an all-in-one kind of thing, and I love those. Anyway, so that's kind of what this is based around, is whatever those all-in-one envelope stationery things were. And they had seals. They had gummed seals, like gold gummed seals, and that's how you sealed up the letters. But yeah, I loved me a good current card catalog and some good current card stationery and so forth. Okay, now you see on this one, this flap is it's all the way to the end of this section. So really what's going to need to happen here, if you're going to use it as a flap, is you get to shorten the flap up. So sometimes you have to alter things a little bit. Okay, so there's that one. So when you open the flap, look, it says the word believe on it. I couldn't have planned that if I'd tried. Let's see what the other side is. So there's delight and joy. And the other thing that I like to do with these also, before I forget it, is I like to ink around the edges. So all of this has been inked. You see that? All of this has been inked around the edges and inked around the little circle thing. It's just, hey Sarah. So the inking around the edge just gives it that little bit of a finish. It just finishes it. Okay, so we have one more. So let's take this one, and this is the very first one we did. So it's a little wonky on the sides and also across the bottom. It's not necessarily totally straight. Let's see, do we need to straighten this up at all? You know, we might straighten this up just a hair. Just straighten this up a little bit. That is one of the advantages that you have with using a rotary cutter and a good ruler, is things are straight. The disadvantage is you got to be real careful so you don't cut your hand. Yeah. Okay, and we could take this and just straighten this across the bottom just a little bit. It's going to make it easier for folding purposes if we have a kind of straight edge to begin with. Okay, so let's start out with 4 inches and just see what happens here. Just give ourselves a guideline, and as I said a minute ago, I'm going to fold it back so I can see the line. Kind of keep things kind of straight-ish, and then fold it back on itself. And then I'm going to do the same thing, fold it back on itself. So I'm kind of even with that flap down there. And then fold it back over, like so. And if you need to straighten things up or even, you know, the folds up a little bit, that's good to do too. Fold your flap down. If you need to shorten the flap, which this one looks like I need to shorten it a little bit, just do that. Then you can decide how you want to do the closure. And you can see here how this is not even on the side. If I want to even that up, I can, or I can leave it alone. Ink around the edges, and there is the next one. So we have another envelope stationery piece, and it has, when you open it up, it has the word happy, and it has hope, and it has play. Yeah, so there you go. Okay, so there's 1, 2, and 3 pieces that I got out of half a grocery sack. Okay, half a grocery bag made 3 of these that are one-of-a-kind things that you can send to people, you could give to people, you could do all kinds of things with those. And bonus, we have these. Now, what can you do with these? You can make corner bookmarks that fit on the corners of pages, and so you can get probably, I don't know, 1 or 2 out of these little leftovers, or you can use these leftovers as embellishments in your for a card, like another kind of note card, like a pre-folded card base, you know, like we did with these, where I just used scraps of things that we did and glued the scraps onto a card base. So you have that. Okay, so you can do that. There's all kinds of things you can do. I never throw these kinds of things out. You can also use these and punch your circles out of them if you want to use those for your closures on your envelopes. You can cut those out of those, or you can make little squares for your closures instead of circles. You can do all kinds of things. So anyway, that's what we've got here. We did some things. Hey, Joan, we did some stuff. I don't know what they are. They're just fun. They're little envelope things, one of a kind. And yeah, you can just do those and make somebody's day. Make somebody's day by making something that you've made, and then furthermore, open it up and write them a letter. That's a lot of space right there. That's quite a bit of real estate to write a letter to somebody, to tell them how important they are to you, or how important they are to this world. You know, I cannot tell you how much that means to people. We've talked about this before, but when I was in the weeds taking care of Claus Man, and I mean I was in the weeds, we were dealing with the end of COVID, and it was a really, really difficult time especially for him. But it was super hard, you know, just trying to keep up with how fast everything was changing with him. And there were 2 or 3 people. One is Barbara Clark, who is one of my moderators here. Another one is Becky McCauley, who is Aunt Beck's Creations. Dee Dee was another one. Dee Dee Willingham was another one. So those 3 people come to mind right off the bat. And they sent me things routinely. When it came to mind, they would send something to me. And when those things would show up in the mail, it always came at exactly the right moment. At exactly the right moment. So if you have that thing that comes to mind, I should send a note to XYZ. There are several people that are part of the online creative community that are in the weeds right now that could use your encouragement. So if you have that thought process of I should do it, okay, just follow it up and do it. You'll be glad you did. I can tell you that when those things would show up in the mail for me, it always happened in a day at a time when I was just trying to hang on. And something would show up, and it meant the world to me. One of the things that really helped me too, these were on my desk, is there were a lot of people doing the hearts back then, hearts for love or whatever they called them. I can't remember exactly what they called. And people were making those, and because they're not thick, they were easy to mail. people would send those, and I would put those up in the room, especially when Clausman was at the very end of his life and was on hospice and he was in bed. He could still see the hearts, and they meant the world to me, and they meant something to him, even though he'd lost the ability to talk and communicate. But he could see those, and he could see the colorful cards, and he could see those things, and he was still being stimulated visually by those things. So I'm just saying, if you have the inclination to make some stuff like this, to make a piece of paper, take a grocery bag, take any kind of bag, and make something out of it, write a letter, send it to somebody because it came to mind. And you just send it to somebody and say, you're doing great. You're doing a great job. You're doing a hard job, but you're doing a great job. That's really important for people. So there you go. End of lecture. End of lecture. Okay, so that is the end of that. Thank you guys for being here. Hi, Signa. Thank you for being here, each and every one of you. And I hope you have a great rest of your day or evening or whatever. And I'll be back Monday night. I don't know what we'll do, but maybe we'll make another piece of paper. I don't know. I'll be back Monday night. Oh, I have a whole list of things. Going through all these magazines and all these articles and stuff, man, did I find some great stuff to do. So we may do something new. I don't know. Come back and see. Monday night, 7 p.m. Eastern. Until then, as always, remember to get creative today, because you saw it. It's easy. I'll see you before you know it. Bye for now.